Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
Hello, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com, and this is the first live stream where I have gotten to play a little bit with overlays. So that was our intro that we usually put on recorded videos. Now I'll be able to do them at the beginning of live streams. Got some things to talk about today, but first of all, I want to make sure everybody knows that we have received a new shipment of our 3-inch holofoil stickers. I mean, this thing is like a roll of duct tape here. It's that thick. This is, of course, from our good friends at Sticker Mule. This is what counts for an advertisement here. They didn't pay us. I just like them a lot, and I get stuff from them. I think you should too. They got some great deals. So, in the world of publishing, you might have seen The Devil You Know is our newest paperback anthology, and it should be listed on Amazon tomorrow, and it won't be. So let me just walk through that real quick here. It will be, it just won't be tomorrow. We had submitted the finished manuscript to Ingram Spark, and they sent out some copies that people had ordered. And apparently the manuscript was in a 6x9 format, and the book was in a 5x8 format, which means that there were words missing that went off the edges of the page and off the top of the page, and they caught it after printing 9 copies. And then they got a hold of us right away and said, hey, no, you need to send this as a 5x8. I'm like, okay, they're like, but make your pages 5.125 by 8.25 to account for bleed. So we did this in a real rush and submitted that, and they sent the e-proofs back, and I looked at it, I was like, it's almost fitting, but no. So I went back and I changed it to the exact 5x8 that it really should be, which is what I should have done the first time. I should have just taken the bulletproof document, which we still have, and just cleared it all out and just dumped all the text in there, and it would have been formatted just fine. But I didn't do that. Now that I have done that, we've jumped up from a 266-page paperback to a 380-page paperback. So it's going to be nice and thick, and it's going to read like an anthology of science fiction and fantasy should. So keep a watch for that. We've got to get the cover reformatted. It's not going to take that long. I expect I'll probably get the manuscript tonight, probably get the cover reformatted tomorrow, and it will hopefully be listed on Amazon in its glory by Friday. I've been getting a lot of help at the very last minute here from Wyatt Holliday, who's got some Indiegogos you should check out. Great guy there. He's doing some great work with Mandy Summers and her crew. So be patient. The Devil You Know will become the devil you get to know. Also, gosh, going on in publishing today. So Cursova Magazine, that's at CIRSOVA. They're fending off Twitter backlash today and yesterday because they kind of got into it with the SFWA, the Science Fiction Writers of America, to whom I do not belong, and I don't plan to belong anytime soon, even though I have written science fiction and been professionally published. I just don't like joining organizations. As Groucho Marx once said, I'd never want to belong to any club that would have me as a member. But anyway, they made comments about SFWA aligning themselves with domestic terrorism. This was, of course, because the SFWA had aligned themselves with Black Lives Matter. Well, Black Lives Matter has been called a domestic terrorist organization by a couple of councilmen around the country, a couple of mayors around the country, but specifically they have not been called a terrorist organization by the FBI, which gets to give out that particular designation as they gave to Antifa. So if they had, basically said, hey, they're supporting Antifa, they're supporting a domestic terrorist organization, they could have got by with it. But because they're going with the words of some mayors and some councilmen, they've been getting an appropriate amount of flack. I don't know, not an appropriate amount of flack. They've been getting an amount of flack from different people out there. And it's kind of fun to watch because you don't get anybody that says, hey, the FBI didn't say that yet. That's just this mayor. You might want to, rethink, or, whether you want to come out and actually say that directly. No, you just get the the knee-jerk reactions popping right up. Says, "Oh, you're a racist magazine. Glad to know I'll never submit to you. Look at this table of contents. It's just full of this and this and this." And you can look at the table of contents for the magazine, and it doesn't contain anything at all like what they're complaining about. So that's just your latest Twitter dust up, Twitter brush fire. And it's kind of fun to watch. Hey, the Ascending Apothecon. Yes, it has been a little bit since I've seen you. I've been in Dave's a little bit though now. I've been getting in there, a couple of times a week lately. So you will probably catch me there soon. Dave Dyer's the proprietor at Cosmic Comics in Belleville, and he is one of the 4 horsemen of the LCS Apocalypse that joins us bi-weekly. We will be having that broadcast again. We used to have it on Wednesdays when it was no comic book day. And then they started shipping comic books again. So we moved it to Saturday. This Saturday is July the 4th. It's Independence Day here in the United States. So it's a major holiday. People do things. They make plans. So our LCS Guy show was going to be scheduled for this Friday at 7 p.m. We've already got one notice out on Twitter for that. So we'll be putting out more notices. You want to join us. We have Michael Tierney from Little Rock, who has closed both of his brick and mortar stores just this past week to just focus on mail order. We also have Ewell Carter from Berkeley, California, and we have Ryan Seymour from Columbus, Ohio. So we got people from all over the United States bringing a broad perspective on what's going on at the front lines of the comics retail business. Also, in publishing news today. And by the way, this is an open stream. So if you're watching this and you just want to come in and kind of chew the fat about comics and science fiction, television, books, just geek out or bitch out or whatever it is you want to do, go to our link. You know what? I'm just going to put the link right here in the comments because I've got it here. It can be done. Cut boom, cut bing. There they are. You click the link, you're going to come right into the studio. We can sit here and talk on screen, which I'll be honest with you is a lot more fun than sitting here talking to my face in the mirror coming back at me here. But the subject came up today on Twitter about sensitivity reading and how, people do or don't choose to submit their work to a sensitivity reader. From my perspective, submitting your work to a sensitivity reader, especially in current year, is basically saying, I have done a lot of work and I really don't want to publish it. Give me an excuse not to. Because guaranteed, if you go to sensitivity readers, you will get back a manuscript that has triggered something. Fortunately, since I write The Destroyer, the whole purpose of the book is to go out of the way to trigger just about everybody that you can. So if I give my book to a sensitivity reader and I go to get it back and I find they're laying comatose on the floor, I've done my job. And I'm very happy about it. So anyway, there was a little bit, I want to say there was a little bit of debate about that today. Somebody had brought it up and compared it to having your book fact checked. And I made a statement that, hey, you're comparing apples to xylophones here because feelings and verifiable facts are not two things you can really quantify. They said, yes, we can, yan, blocked. So it's not really a debate when you bring up a point and they don't counterpoint, and then they just shut off all communications. So of course I block back. That's my rule. I don't block anybody until they've blocked me. But once you block me, I will block you back. I've seen me do it. So, we have somebody coming into the stream here. It is Oreo the Undead Dragon.
What up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, no. This is cool. You can actually see this on the TV.
We're going to have infinite broadcasting here. That's cool.
I gotta do that. Okay. How's it going, man? I just got off work not too long ago.
You going into work, or are you getting to work from home still?
Say what?
Are you going into work, or are you having to work from home?
Oh, no. I just got back from work like an hour or two ago. So, yeah. That's how it's
So,
been.
so where you calling in from?
I'm just calling in from home. I'm just in my room, chilling.
No. I mean, what area of the country, man?
Oh, it's like the first time I've done this live stream stuff. Hold on. Did pause on you? Okay, there we go. So, hang on. Let me lower my TV a little bit. So, what were you saying?
I was just saying, what area of the country are you calling in from?
Oh, I'm calling in from Illinois.
Ah, cool. Venezuela, Illinois.
Yep. So let me think here. Let me think. Something that's cute that I can talk about. Not entirely.
What's on your mind tonight? Comic books, science fiction, politics.
Well, since I've never really been into comic books until like recently. I mean, I've just barely started getting into comic books like in my high school years. But that was mostly because, I'm not interested so much in the superhero comics. It's more or less I got into comics because, number one favorite giant monster was with IDW Publishing for a while. So,
Yes.
So, I mean, I got a whole bunch of Godzilla comics in this little thing right here. And I've been kind of inspired recently that I should write down some ideas, which, I'm a little bit of a lazy butt because, I mean, I work 6 days. I come home, don't really feel like doing anything, so I just watch YouTube half the time.
There you go.
But, I mean, I'm going to probably get back to it soon, but I'm thinking I'm going to wait till I can get myself a computer instead, so that way I can, have everything translated onto a digital file and stuff like that.
Yeah. What are you inspired to write?
Well, I'm thinking about working on a actual full-blown fictional universe of my own.
For like a graphic novel, or
not just a graphic novel, but I'm thinking like comics in general, like little short stories here and there. And there's going to be like full-blown stories as well. But I'm not exactly sure where to start. Some people suggested Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That might be a bit of a big bite for your first one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was trying to figure it out too, but I've been reading a couple of books from a YouTuber I follow. His name is Omniviewer.
Okay.
He wrote 2 different books, and this is a big shout out to my buddy Ryan George Collins. Well, he's not really a friend; he's more of an acquaintance, but you get the idea. But shout out to him and his book Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1. Which sets up one part of the universe explaining like giant monsters and the wars that go on between them and their lesser creatures, like their dinosaurs, their insectoid monsters. You get the idea. Yeah. And then he has another book that takes place beforehand called The Occult Mafia, which is actually just new and it just barely released like a couple days ago. And I'm currently on chapter 6. I've just barely started reading it recently. Really good book so far, but without putting too much information from one part of the universe into the other.
I like the name of that title, The Occult Mafia. That's
yeah, it's basically you take the classic Universal monsters and you put them in the Mafia, pretty much.
Oh. That still the bad guys. That kind of reminds me of there was a show on when I was just a wee lad, more years ago than I can want to consider, called The Monster Squad. And it was not the movie The Monster Squad with the kids who were hunting monsters, but a Saturday morning live action thing. And it was basically the Universal monsters as repentant superheroes. They'd been awakened in a wax museum where people thought they were wax statues and wanted to make up for their past misdeeds by going out and fighting crime. So they went out against it. It was just this real campy comedy kind of thing.
I believe I've heard of that movie.
Yeah, well, there was a movie, but then this was a regular weekly series. And I want to say that their leader, the normal guy, the janitor, the night watchman who woke them up by accident, was the same guy who played Gopher on the Love Boat.
That's cool. I'll have to check it out.
But as far as occult mafias go, I think every organization, or not every ethnic group, or everyone who can fit into a single classification, a subset of that classification should be their own mafia. It's one of the stories in Strange Imaginings by this guy named R.J. Carter.
I know, I'm looking at him.
Yeah, called Miscegenation, and it was about Earth after an alien colonization happened. Sort of like, well, it was basically a crashed spaceship, and they couldn't be deported because there was nowhere for them to go. So they were all kind of Ellis Island in, and they were these fuzzy, purple cat-like humanoids that just kind of blended into society. And they were the new minority, so they were all looked down upon, and among them were their own mafia. so they had their good fellas that would break legs and sell drugs, especially the drug that could be made from their own blood, and the way it would react with humans. It created a very, very large high.
Swing a sack of doorknobs. It'll make you feel like a big man.
Absolutely.
But yeah, what was I saying earlier? Oh yeah, but like I was saying about the book, the Occult Mafia, they do well enough to stand alone as their own separate stories with Easter eggs. Like the Occult Mafia is supposedly, I haven't gotten to any like real Easter eggs yet, other than like one which I don't want to spoil the book. But there's like a few Easter eggs here and there that reference something from the Operation Red Dragon, which is what another character in Operation Red Dragon has a different term for the supernatural, which actually makes its appearance in the book of Occult Mafia, or the term.
Now this is a published book, the Occult Mafia.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. They have it for it's physical and digital copies.
Cool.
I bought it on the Kindle, so. But yeah, really good read. But yeah, like I said, I took hints from that. I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, then why don't I just do like all the individual stories before I decide to dive deeper down into the big connections and stuff that I want to do? Because I mean, on top of this one fictional universe I'm doing, there's going to be even more stories that branch out into weirder directions. And I mean like multiverse in a way, but not multiverse in the sense of like Marvel and stuff like that. Some stuff dives into original stuff, and then other stuff dives into like fan fiction territory, as well as a hybrid of both original and fan fiction content, which is going to be considered canon to like certain stories, but in an unofficial manner, so to speak. So that way, I can't get sued. You get the idea.
I know exactly what you mean.
But I mean, like, for example, one character travels throughout the dimensions, and he ends up coming across different universes. Like an idea for one story is it's gonna go, and here's a little bit of a spoiler, but since I really haven't mentioned any details on it, is it really a spoiler? Probably not.
Yeah.
So like at the end of one story, he basically leaves a dimension because, well, he fell in love with one of the other characters who was originally native to that dimension, but out of rage, he basically destroys that world. And with her like unconscious in his arms, he takes her into a different reality. This reality, however, cannot be shown because, again, copyright. I don't want to infringe. So this reality ends up being extended as a extended chapter, so to speak. And he ends up in if you ever heard of the game Fallout New Vegas?
Nope, haven't heard that one.
What? Fallout New Vegas? Okay, well, Fallout New Vegas takes place in a post-apocalyptic universe in some kind of atom punk setting.
Okay.
After the year 2281. It's New Vegas, but after nuclear war. So yeah, he ends up in. So the main character goes into this dimension, and well, he ends up losing his love there, and has to bury her. And that's the idea I have proposed for the extended ending.
So why bother? Why bother even fighting the copyright, the trademark gods, by pulling in these universes? Why not just stick with your own creations? Is it more homage, or is it fan fiction kind of thing? I mean, you can learn a lot writing fan fiction and getting reactions from friends.
It's kind of like that, yeah. But the other reason is a little more complicated to explain. Because what I'm trying to shoot for is because I have this huge, this larger idea built out that everything include let me put it this way. You heard of a crazy person called Chris Chan? Christian Weston Chandler, Sonichu?
Nope.
Okay, well.
Not ringing any bells.
Okay, well, let me give a real quick explanation. This is a person that believes all different realities are out there, and that some of them are a fictional world.
Oh, that's Grant Morrison.
The fictional worlds. Yeah, kind of like that. But they believe for example, our world is our plane of existence. Then they believe that there's also another universe where our fictional characters are alive, so to speak. And the idea of all this is, what I'm trying to do is something similar to that, going also by the many worlds theory, the multiverse theory, and even some rules, kind of taking inspiration from the rules of Rick and Morty, the different universes, different possibilities type of ordeal. And I was thinking to myself, maybe, or hold on. Like I said, it's a complicated one to explain, but what I'm trying to do with this whole thing is show that even though every universe out there is separate, there's always a chance that some kind of anomaly will actually cause a crossover at one point. And that's what one of the characters is, technically to speak, a planeswalker in a way, like in Magic the Gathering.
A book you want to check out, it's an old science fiction book, is All the Myriad Ways by Larry Niven.
Yeah.
And it actually explores the concept of scientists who have discovered how to breach the multiverse and go to these alternate universes for alternate scientific discoveries that they then bring home. And it gets into the whole broadening of the bands, because the whole thing is based off of every time someone makes a decision, then the universes branch out, and that's how it branches out so many times. But they have on the gauge, when the astronaut, the cosmonaut, the multiverse naut, whatever he is, goes out, he's like, okay, here's the band of multiverses, and this little red dot, that's my universe. That's where I target back to when I come back home. But the more times he goes out, he has to make a choice to pick the dot, and that choice splits multiverses. So the dot starts to become a little red band. So it's like anywhere on that band is good enough now, because it's pretty much the same universe. And if I pick the left end, it's okay, because another me will pick the right end of it. But there was one time where two people picked the same point and they collided with each other. And that's what started to realize the dangers of multiversal travel. And Larry Niven gets into the whole business of people were killing themselves because they realized that if they chose to end their life in this universe, another version of them would have a happy life somewhere else in the multiverse.
Oh, wow. That sounds like some insanity, but yeah, I'll have to check it out. What's the name again?
All the Myriad Ways by Larry Niven. It's better known actually because it also contains his dissertation called "Man of Steel, Woman of Kleenex," which goes into graphic detail as to why Lois Lane and Superman would never be able to have children.
Oh boy. Well, yeah.
And of course,
Anyway,
he's going with the Silver Age Superman too. So there's red kryptonite involved and all the crazy stuff that came from the 70s. It was part of the Superman lore then. But I would definitely recommend that if you're wanting to get into multiversal thought.
yeah, trust me. But even I've been trying to think about how I'm going to get this kind of stuff to work since high school. Because honestly, in middle school and backwards, I never understood what the concept of multiverse was. So I mean, didn't really make a lot of sense. So like to me, it's like what I wanted to do beforehand didn't make a lot of sense. But now I'm like, yeah. But anyway, it's been fun.
Yeah, just world build, man. Just keep writing. Put all your notes down. Don't publish that. Don't publish. I hate books that start off with a glossary of terms because it's like, hey, okay, when you go through this book and you see this word, no. Always make sure that the reader can understand what your new word means by the context that it's used in. Even if it's a slang curse word, let them be able to figure it out.
All right, man. Well, it's been fun. Thank you for having me on.
You take care, and we'll see you again sometime. I'll see you around the shop probably.
All right. Hopefully see you at the shop.
Take care, man.
Later, man. Bye.
All right. What else we got going on here? Not much happening in the world of comics today. Of course, today is the new comic book day, and for DC, because it's Tuesday, terrific Tuesday, and I've still got books from last Wednesday that I've got to get around to reviewing. Most notably, Batman 94. Is it 94? No, 93. Okay, don't jump the gun on me there. This is the prelude to Joker War. And if you didn't get this one, then you have missed out. Now, everything that's been going on in this James Tynion series has been happening over one really long and really busy night. And this is the climax of that, where it brings Batman into confrontation with the designer. And to speak too much more about this, I mean, they get back into the whole meeting of the supervillains several years back, where they all worked out a great plan to take over Gotham City and then chose not to do it, except for the Joker, who we know ended up killing the designer, but is not the designer as I had originally thought. But if you've seen anything else about what the designer uses to pass along messages to Batman and the other heroes, then you'll probably figure out who or what the designer is. But basically, this is all being orchestrated by the Joker, leading up to Joker War. He's going to finance Joker War. And of course, it's been revealed for a long time now that the Joker knows who Batman is and every member of the Bat family. So none of them are safe at any time. And by the end of this book, the Joker has everything he needs to wage war on Batman, because he's taken away everything Batman needs to be Batman, which, being Batman's expensive. So that's out there, and you should. It's got some really good art in it from Mr. March. Let me get the exact credits in here, because multiple credits on the cover. Okay, so yeah, James Tynion IV is the writer. Gillen March and Javier Fernandez are the artists. Really good stuff. I really like this interpretation they do of Harley Quinn. It's a very clean look. It's not as cartoonish as we've seen before. Although I've got to say, I'm getting really tired of Harley Quinn being in every freaking thing. It's overdone. This is, of course, the continuation of her battle with Punchline, and we get to see exactly how much of a badass Miss Punchline is, and why she's there, and how she's going to interact with Catwoman, who is trying to take all of Bruce Wayne's money and put it into her own account. That's not where it goes. So, spoiler alert. And I also like the way they've done the Joker here. I don't know. I missed how he gets his face back. I don't know if that came from something in Rebirth, because I know for the longest time they'd cut his face off and he was walking around with this dead skin sewn back to his face. It was really gross looking. Or he could be one of the other two Jokers, since there are technically three Jokers, which is a dangling plot line that's been going on for what, 6 years now. Cannot wait for that to finally come out on the Black Label, because I've been wanting to get that figured out for a while now. I hope they don't give the Joker a real name. We've been seeing him called Jack Napier in a couple of different books, most notably Sean Gordon Murphy's White Knight, which doesn't exist in current continuity. Obviously, it's in the Murphyverse. And speaking of Sean Gordon Murphy, good God, Mags Visaggio, whose Vagrant Queen got canceled from Sci-Fi. If your ratings are too low on Sci-Fi to maintain a show, wow. Anyway, she's come out and says that she's not going to tell everything, or she's not going to get into the details of how Sean Gordon Murphy groomed her. She's 30 freaking years old. You cannot be groomed at 30 years old. Which, I'm sorry, if you're going to come out and say, I'm not going to say everything about how he did this to me. You've just said everything about how he did this to you. You've started the fucking conversation. You've made the accusation. You've thrown it out there. And lo and behold, relevancy again. So I don't know if she's going to have another book come out. I don't care if she's going to have another book come out. God bless Sean Gordon Murphy, because he's going to have all of Twitter just fall on his head. Of course, the weight is a lot less now, because there's been like 20 to 30 comic book people who have been #MeToo'd over the past several weeks. So, Twitter's had to divide its forces. And so there won't be the entirety of it. It'll just be the contingent that's left over that hasn't gone after Warren Ellis or Cameron Stewart or Charles Brownstein or any of these other guys who have suddenly been outed as harassers and whatnot. And many of them justifiably so. I'm not going to say all of them. I think the thing on Warren Ellis is a bit overblown, largely because those women were all of age and were, mature adults, so they could make their own decisions on how to respond to something that another adult man says. And that also reminds me, I need to go get some Wolverine and support Victor Bogdanovic, because he basically said, if anybody's going to if you're a woman and you get harassed in the industry, you should deliver a roundhouse kick. And all the women in the industry came back and said, no, we don't want to do that. Just, like, okay, you don't want to solve the problem. You just want to have the problem. That's a common psychological condition where, you just like to have something to complain about. Gosh, that is not where I meant to go with all of that, but stream of consciousness, just letting people know what I think. And I'm not even on Twitter, so at the moment, usually that's where you let all the crazy stuff out. All right, well, if nobody else is going to click on the StreamYard link and come in and actually talk comic books or science fiction or projects they're working on, we'll go ahead and close this one out. And we appreciate you coming in to watch us. Again, if you like the stuff we do, there are links in the description below. Of course, the easiest thing to do is just go visit criticalblast.com and check out the reviews and material we have there. We appreciate the traffic on that. But of course, if you do, want to click and get merchandise, we are a publishing house, and our young adult graphic novel, Bulletproof, in hardcover. I said young adult graphic novel. I'm sorry. It is not a young adult graphic novel. It is a young adult superhero novel, okay? Is available out there in hardcover, soon to be in paperback as book 2 makes its way in. This is Bulletproof Origins. Young Cody Haywood is 16 years old, and wakes up on his birthday to find out that he is bulletproof. He lives in a world of superheroes, so he decides he's going to become one. Unfortunately, Cody has undiagnosed ADD, and focus is an issue for him, so his friends are there to help him stay on track and survive, because even though he's bulletproof, he still has weaknesses, and there are a group of terrorists who would very much like to find out why he's bulletproof and become bulletproof themselves. So if you are into superhero adventure of the original Spider-Man variety, I definitely recommend Bulletproof. It's full of action, full of humor, the kind of thing that comic books used to be when they were fun. With that, we are going to let you go. We appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot, guys.
Hi, thanks for stopping by for another Critical Blast video. The internet is a big place, and we know there are lots of other places you could be other than here, and we appreciate you being here immensely. If you enjoyed this kind of content, we hope you'll return for more. If you click the subscribe button, you'll get a little notification of when we produce new video content. If you would like to help the channel out, there are many ways to do so. Just visiting our main hub, criticalblast.com, will do wonders. But if you're more of a show me the merchandise type of person, there are links in the description of this video to our t-shirt shop, as well as links to Amazon for the books we publish under the Critical Blast Publishing imprint, including the urban fantasy anthology Gods and Services and the YA superhero novel Bulletproof by Stephen J. Mitchell. Thanks again for visiting this video. We hope you had a blast.